If one day everything you try to hold on to suddenly slips away, your job, your stability, the people you love, what would you do? Elijah Winters had never thought about that until that gray, rainy morning in Seattle, when a fragile sheet of paper erased 20 quiet years of his life. But it was precisely in those moments of being cornered that he realized sometimes a kind glance, a warm cup of coffee, and an old sketchbook can save an entire person. Winter in Seattle, gray and cold rains covering the streets, while a small cafe named the North Fork glows warm like an oasis. The main character, Elijah Winters, a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair, works as a building maintenance worker, a quiet but essential job. He lives alone after a divorce, with his son far away, their contact infrequent. His life revolves around ordinary things: fixing, drinking coffee, watching the rainfall. At the cafe, he meets Layla, a young, lively barista studying design, always gifting him smiles and sometimes a salty cookie. One day, the company restructured, and Elijah lost his job. Bills piled up, rent increased, and his age made finding a new job difficult. He hid his worries, even from his son. On rainy nights, he wandered under the streetlights, seeing his reflection in the faces of the homeless. At the same time, Layla also faced difficulties. Her scholarship was cut, and her family's income was lacking. One quiet evening, with few customers, they spoke honestly to each other for the first time, sharing burdens they had thought were theirs alone. Between them, a silent sense of empathy began to form. From the list of odd jobs Layla gave him, Elijah tried everything. He took a part-time job at a small library, arranging books, mending old spines. The pay was little, but it kept him steady and earned him trust. Every evening, he would stop by the North Fork, sharing small updates, a rare book he had found again, or the time he helped an elderly woman find the right shelf. Layla also drew more, bringing him sketches of her mother, grandmother, and even of him holding a cup of coffee, watching the rain. These small things were enough to make them both feel a little less lonely. When the landlord announced a rent increase, Elijah feared losing his apartment. He almost wanted to give up, but at that moment, he received a sketch from Layla, an image of him standing under an awning, holding the sketchbook she had dropped the day before, a simple yet steadfast Elijah. Beneath it was the line, "The grumpy neighbor, but a lifesaver." He realized that, even unnamed, he still had value to someone. That strength pushed him to persist. Elijah called his son for the first time in a long while, not to complain, but to say, "I'm okay. I'm trying. How about you?" The conversation was brief but warm. A few weeks later, Elijah found a more stable job at the library and took on additional night shifts for maintenance. Layla continued her studies, introduced by a regular customer to freelance design work. The problems hadn't disappeared, but they had learned to stay steady and look further ahead. One evening, in the cafe, they sat by the window, the rain still falling, but now the sound of it was like a slow rhythm that allowed them to sit quietly. Elijah smiled. "Everyone thinks I'm fine, but it turns out when you dare to speak, you find an ally." Life can push ordinary people into difficult corners, but determination and kind gestures, no matter how small, can open a brighter path. Sometimes, all it takes is someone to listen, a word of trust, or a simple sketch to remind us we still matter.